A close look at Silo Season 2's reference to a 124-year-old story reveals that it might be foreshadowing how Juliette's journey ends in the Apple TV Plus series. Unlike Silo Season 1, which follows a linear story that unfolds inside Silo 18, the Apple TV Plus sci-fi show Season 2 walks through two simultaneous narratives. While one focuses on Juliette's story outside her home, the other shows how her exit has impacted the people of Silo 18. Both narratives are compelling in their own ways and perfectly intertwined with one another. From inside the silo, Bernard grows increasingly worried about a brewing rebellion after Juliette's departure. Meanwhile, from the outside, Juliette gets scared that her people will take some drastic measures and leave Silo 18 without protective gear to follow her. Silo Season 2's Episode 2 also features an intriguing nod to a classic story, which not only draws another major connection between the narratives unfolding inside and outside the central silo but also seemingly hints at how Juliette's arc will eventually end. Silo Season 2 draws a reference to the Wizard of Ounce. Meadows calls herself the Wizard of Ounce. Tim Robbins as Bernard Holland in Silo with Tanya Moody's Judge Meadows looking up at him. In Silo Season 2's Episode 2, Meadows shows Bernard her copy of the Wizard of Ounce. She claims that, like the wizard in the story, she has been conning people into believing that she has any semblance of control or power in the silo. Despite being one of the leading figures in the silo's hierarchy, she knows almost nothing about the world they live in and feels as ignorant as most other citizens. Silo Season 2's subtle reference to the Wizard of Ounce is interesting because many other parallels can be drawn between Hugh Howey's Silo books and L. Frank Baum's The Wizard of Ounce. Silo shares many other parallels with the Wizard of Ounce. Every main Silo character seems to have a Wizard of Ounce counterpart. Henry Littlefield's famous political interpretation of the Wizard of Ounce draws parallels between the fictional story and the populist movement of the 1960s. According to the interpretation, the Scarecrow, who is in search of a brain, represents the ignorant farmers of the time. Meanwhile, the Rusty Tin Woodman, who gets hexed by the Witch of the East, represents the dehumanized workers during the Industrial Revolution. While the Cowardly Lion is a metaphor for populist politicians who did not raise their voices despite being influential, the wizards are the corrupt leaders who project a fake image of authority. In Apple TV Plus' Silo, the workers in the mechanical and the mines can be seen as the Tin Man, dehumanized by their machines and exploited for their labor. Similarly, the regular citizens represent the Scarecrow because they are ignorant but wish to find answers. The ones like Martha Walker represent the lion from the story because, despite their influence, they lack the courage to stand against tyranny. Finally, Bernard and Meadows are the wizards, controlled by the invisible wicked witches who pull all the strings from behind the scenes. Since Juliette has been forced out of her home by forces she had no control over, it is hard not to see her as the main character, Dorothy, from The Wizard of Ounce. Like Dorothy, she wishes to find her way back home before it is too late. What the Dorothy parallels mean for Juliette's story in Silo. Juliette might get a happy ending like Dorothy. Towards the end of The Wizard of Ounce, Dorothy's story comes in full circle after she finds her way back home with the lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow's help. Silo's similarities to The Wizard of Ounce suggest that, like Dorothy and her friends from the classic story, Juliette and her allies will also go through significant catharsis as the show progresses. Like Dorothy's friends, they, too, will eventually learn about the lies and deception Bernard was blinding them with. This discovery will set them free and help them tap into their true potential. With the help of her people, Juliette will eventually lead everyone to a place they can finally call home. However, it is possible that the Wizard of Ounce similarities are only restricted to Meadows' characterization. Despite sharing parallels with the Wizard of Ounce, Apple TV Plus' Silo may not have a positive ending.